Is the Lord among us or not? The Israelites had escaped slavery, found their way out of Egypt, thinking that they were heading for the promised land, only to find themselves lost, thirsty, and afraid. And so they asked what most people in the wilderness at some point ask: is the Lord among us or not? Is God with us or not? Are we on our own or not? Perhaps some of us recognize the question. Among many other things, the arrival of the coronavirus this week in our area has meant that unwillingly we have all been cast out into the wilderness with the rest of the world. We have all been forced to begin a journey whose destination is unclear, whose duration is unknown. And though we all hope to reach the promised land, if we're honest, we just don't know. We don't know. As we try our best to try and sort out fact from fiction, reality from hyperbole, we are doing our best to try and put it all into some kind of context, and to be honest, we don't really understand. We're doing our best to try and make sense of it, but is it any wonder that we find ourselves a little scared, a little lost, a little afraid? The wilderness is a frightening place. Who could blame us for asking, is the Lord among us or not? We kind of think that if the Lord is, then things are going to be okay, that basically this will pass, that this will go by without us getting sick. Of course, if it doesn't just pass, if the virus spreads, if people we love are affected or infected, then can God really be here? The ancient Israelites sort of had that idea. They had a very black and white, very simple idea about God. When good things were happening, God was there. When bad things were happening, clearly God was not. It didn't take them long leaving slavery before they began to wonder, before that anxiety began to build up. As they found their way to the edge of the Red Sea and turned around, seeing all of the Egyptians behind them, they looked to their leader, to Moses, and they said to Moses, "Did you bring us out here to die? Is the Lord among us or not?" When they crossed over and could only find bitter water, "Did you bring us out here to die? Is the Lord among us or not?" When they couldn't find any food, "Did you bring us out here to die? Is the Lord among us or not?" Even in today's passage, when they couldn't find anything to drink, when they were thirsty, "Did you bring us out here to die? Is the Lord among us or not?" And we get it. Anxieties are running a little high right now. Maybe you felt it, the anxieties that are running a little high, and it's even worsened when we discover that we have to fight for our basic necessities. Hence the run on toilet paper. We just want to be very, very prepared. Though seriously, what are we going to do with all of that toilet paper? We should try fiber or something. We get it. Anxieties run a little high, and we reach out to try and hold on to something that's going to keep us into some semblance of control. We're going to do something that we can do, and so we go out and we hoard those basic necessities. We grab what we think we need, what we think is going to keep us strong in the midst of this. And sure, we're a people of faith. We think that there's something we can hold on to in this, but it turns out in times like these, we realize that we kind of have the simple faith, that black and white binary faith of our ancient siblings. We don't like to admit it, but when good things are happening, we think God is there, and when bad things are, we think, well, we're not quite so sure. We even have these nice phrases that we haul out in times like this to try and make people feel okay. Sure, we know it doesn't quite work this way, but they kind of make us feel better in the moment. God doesn't give you more than you can handle. Everything happens for a reason. There go I, but by the grace of God. It makes us feel better in the moment. Sure, we know that it's not quite true. Everything happens for a reason? Surely that can't be the case. We've sat with too many children who have been ill, too many parents who have died, too many challenges in this world to really believe that. We don't really believe that, do we? Think about what that does to God. At best, it turns God into a kind of divine chess player willing to sacrifice certain pieces for an ultimate win. At worst, it turns God into some kind of divine bully. But friends, that's not who God is. God is not causing a pandemic any more than God is making our cars break down. God is not messing with the stock market any more than God is making the sea levels rise. No, most of that is on us. See, we have the freedom to live in this world. God gives us that freedom to live in this world, which means that sometimes bad things are going to happen even to good people. Sometimes bad things happen to some of us, and sometimes they happen to all of us. There's no guarantee as a people of faith that good things are going to happen to us always. They won't always. No. The promise of our faith is that we won't have to face them alone. We never know what a day is going to bring. But we know we don't have to face it alone. Which means, friends, that the answer to the Israelites' question, the answer to our question is always yes. Is God among us? Yes. Every step of the way. We are not in this alone. And friends, we can face a lot if we know we don't have to face it alone. Consider today. This is a strange moment, isn't it? It is very strange to stand up and preach into a sanctuary knowing that most people are watching or listening but are not physically here. I'm much more used to people being physically present and not listening. It's a very different kind of experience, and yet there's something to it. For perhaps the first time in our 200-year history, there are more people who can see than can be seen right now. There are more people out there watching, and maybe there's a lesson in us for that. Not that God is doing this to teach us some cosmic lesson, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lesson to be learned. Think about how connected we all are. Think about all those people that we do not see, and yet who seem to affect us. While we find ourselves worrying about toilet paper and empty shelves, about quarantines and hand sanitizer and working from home, we have to at least recognize that there are millions of people out there in this world who long for a home to work from, who have spent their entire life longing for those basic necessities that they couldn't get, who have spent their whole life socially distanced and not by choice. If nothing else, this spread of this virus has reminded us that we are connected in a unique way, that we are interdependent in a way that sometimes we forget. No, friends, the question is not whether God is here with us. The answer to that is always yes. The question is, will we be here for each other? God shows up when we do. Are we going to be willing to show up for one another in the midst of this, even if we have to do it from home? The ancient Israelites had it a lot easier. God actually showed up for them. When they whined in the wilderness, they got manna from heaven or water from a rock, and it leaves us asking, where's our rock? Where's the rock that we're going to be able to lean on and draw that life-giving water? And we start to look for it in all of those places as we build our forts out of toilet paper. We're longing for something that we can hold on to in the midst of this. And then we suddenly remember, oh yeah, we're Christian. This is the moment when our faith is put into practice. When the rubber meets the road, when we put our money where our mouth is, friends, we're Christian. We have a rock on which to stand. On Christ, the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. To be clear, it's not that simply believing in Christ will make this go away. It won't. But maybe, just maybe, if we believe in him enough to do what he asked us to do, it might. Our call today is the same as it was last week. Is the same as it will be next week and the 2 weeks after and a year from now and 10 years from now and 200 years from now. Our call as disciples of Jesus Christ is to love God and to love our neighbor as ourselves. God shows up when we do for each other. Our call is to reach out to one another, to connect to one another, because wherever two or more are gathered, I am there. God is in that space between you and me, even if it's over a live stream. So in between washing our hands and hoarding our toilet paper, perhaps we ought to stop and consider, how might we love God and love our neighbor as ourselves in the midst of all of this? This is going to be strange. It already is strange. We're going to spend more time in isolation over the next few weeks than any of us would ever ask for, but maybe there's an opportunity in this. We might have to stay at home, but that doesn't have to stop us from reaching out to love God and to love our neighbor as ourselves, and maybe some of us have to focus on that ourselves piece for just a moment. Maybe some of us are dreading staying home because we recognize it's going to force us to think about those things that are going on in our own lives. But maybe it's an opportunity. Maybe this is a chance to dive deep into our soul, to center down, to dig deep, and to listen for the sound of the genuine inside. Maybe it's an opportunity to look over our life right now and to ask, is this where we want to be? Is the direction we're heading the right way? We never know where a journey like that will take. Howard Thurman used to say, when we go deep enough inside ourselves, we come up inside all other people. Maybe that's where some of us will start. Maybe we could commit to making a call a day, writing a note a day, sending an email a day, something that we can do to reach out to someone else, to extend a hand. Maybe we start with the people who normally sit around us in worship, if we know their names, and if not, maybe we have some more work to be doing. Of course, maybe some of us need to love our neighbor a little more literally than that. Maybe this is the chance to finally meet some of our neighbors, some of those that we have yet to meet, some of those people that we see when they come and go but have yet to say hello to. Maybe this is an opportunity, staying 6 feet away, to go and knock on a door and say hello and to make a connection that we never had before. The point is, friends, let's get creative. We're going to need to get creative over the next few weeks, but if we commit to doing it, we just might come out on the end of this more connected than we began. Maybe in this world we can manage to find ourselves more connected. After all, at the end of this, no one could ever claim again that a single person can't make a difference in this world. Now we know it to be true. We can, for better or worse. We've seen the worst, let's try the better. Is the Lord among us or not? Maybe we can commit coming out of this to spread more than our germs with each person we encounter. Maybe coming out of this we can commit to seeing more than the people we normally see. Maybe coming out of this we can agree to share the basic necessities of this world. Chances are high we'll have extra toilet paper if we do. I get it. I get it. This is a tender moment, an anxious moment, an uneasy moment. None of us know how this is going to turn out. None of us know what direction we're heading in. None of us know. This may last 2 weeks or 2 years. But I do know this, that by the grace of God, none of us are in this alone. And friends, if we can stick together, we will make it to the promised land. So, is the Lord with us or not? Amen.